Aloha and welcome back. So we're going to check out this MAGA focus group. We're going to check it out from across the spectrum. We're going to start with the real Dim Shady here, Dim and Dim, doing the full-on liberal take. Then we're going to go to pretty far right take, and then back to liberals and a little bit of right. But we'll start with Dim and Dim here and go over this focus group that is not mad that the taxes are going up, that the prices, not taxes, that prices are going up and the tariffs are going up. They're okay with it.
Welcome to the show. We got a lot going on today. So in just a second, I have for you very disturbing. We have Fox News mock. Been dropping them over there, so go sub over there. My boy just. So let's watch and then we'll break it down.
I need to ask you an issue that no one's brought up and that has crashed your 401ks, most of you, which are tariffs. Stock market is way down.
It needed a correction.
Oh, so you support it?
Yes, you bet.
Yep.
How many?
And I have to tell you, my 401k wasn't impacted at all.
How many? First off, how many of you did not lose any money over the crash of the stock market? One individual, two people. So, Serena?
The Biden administration, I lost more money than the Trump administration, by far.
2020.
So let's just be clear. Everything they're saying is total cope. There's no way that you lost more under Biden unless you are the world's weirdest and most bizarre investor who somehow picked like the handful of stocks that would have done better under Trump. Like if you picked up gold at the beginning of the Trump administration, then yes, that might be true. But that's like the only way to make it so that you lost less than you did during the Biden administration. This is lies. They're lying. This is just a lie.
Like
In 2022, they crashed it by 25%. Yeah. For the whole year.
No one's upset over this?
No.
No.
Nobody.
There's not a
There's an
single.
here.
So he's like, hold on. The stock market is like absolutely imploding. We're looking at a great recession or maybe even a potential depression. No one's upset.
But rich right-wingers never care when the stock market implodes. That's when they buy up all the cheap stocks, and then the stock market always bounces back. It goes down to a record low, then it goes up to a record high, then to a record low, then to a record high. It always does that. That's what capitalism is about. It's about breaking down the economy and all the poor people suffering, and then while it's broken down, the rich people can buy all these stocks that don't do anything, and then the stock market goes back up, and now they're richer than they were before. They like this. This is the plan.
About this? And all of them are like, nah, bro. Nah, we good. Again, you need to understand. This is not... When the market does well, they privatize the profits, right? When the market does poorly, they socialize the losses. So when the market goes up, that's really good for the wealthy. It's whatever for everybody else. When the market goes down, everybody feels the pain. Prices are going to go up. Layoffs are going to happen. So this idea of like, bro, we're good. It'd be very interesting if you talk to them in a year to see if they say the same thing, because it will literally be impossible to escape the pain in a year.
In a year, the stock market will probably be back up. But if not, they'll just keep buying stocks until it goes back up. They might be from 100 million to 50 million or 50 million to 15 or something. But when the stock market goes back up, they'll be richer than they were before.
Here.
1 year period in the history of the stock market where the stock market hasn't appreciated at an average rate of about 7%. There's ups and downs and corrections, and sometimes people are foolish and they jump out, buy high, sell low. But if people just get in and stay the course, they'll be just fine.
Exactly.
This is such a boomer mindset. It's such a boomer mind. Yeah, it goes up, it goes down, but in the long run, it goes up. It's like...
It's not a boomer mindset. It's a right-wing mindset. It's how capitalism works. 2008 recession. There's a recession every 4 to 7 or 8 years, something like that. It's meant to do this.
Trump, this time around, not only are the stocks imploding because of the trade war, but the dollar is going down too. Usually when the stock market goes down, the dollar goes up because people do the flight to safety to the dollar. Now, the world is dumping the dollar because they're going, the United States can't be the world reserve currency anymore. They can't lead the world. They're too chaotic. They're too unstable. They're not good to their word. They pull out of treaties. They threaten wars on their allies. They do trade wars with everybody. So the idea that, bro, it'll work itself out. No, it won't. No, it won't. You need competent, real leadership. And they don't have that. Oh, my God.
Yeah, and I was about to say, I'm not a day trader. I try not to look at it very often, which is, I think, a good thing. But I also trust that Trump and all of his advisors that are involved with the tariff issue know what they're doing. So I'm just going to hang on. I know it'll correct at some point. I'm not really worried about it.
Despite all of the evidence to the contrary, I'm just going to say they know what they're doing. But they don't. They just don't. Like, what are you supposed to do? Again, look, don't waste your breath on the TFGs. The TFGs are TFGs.
He's one to talk.
Right? Like, you just can't do it. You can't do it.
Think the
How
market's
much
gonna
more
go
are
up
you
higher.
willing to pay for products and services that come out of China?
He didn't talk about TFGs. It's too far gone. He's a vote blue no matter who. You're pretty far gone yourself, homie.
How much do prices have to go up before you say, this is not that great?
I'd rather not buy from China. I'd rather pay more money and buy American.
Oh my God. Oh my God. They're believing the lie that, bro, this trade war is going to lead to American manufacturing booming. The opposite is happening. We are losing manufacturing. Trump killed the CHIPS Act. That added 115,000 high-paying manufacturing jobs. Those jobs are gone because of Trump. You got all these factories now fleeing because they're like, we can't afford to build the factory because the tariffs, the raw materials are too expensive. They are buying, oh my God. Oh my God. It would be very interesting, again, to come back in a year and talk to these people to see if any of them were able to wake up from the cult mindset, or if they're just going to do mental jujitsu and somehow blame the deep state for when the country is in a depression.
Ooh. So this is coming from a vote blue no matter who person who won't be awake in a year, won't be woke up in 2 or 3 or 5 years. He's doing the same thing that's been done for the past 16, if not longer years. Talking about when they're going to wake up in a year from now. If you're any kind of if you're any kind of example, then no, they'll just stay asleep, just like you.
And prices only go up if demand is inelastic and if there's no alternative supplies. And they're doing a brilliant job. They're surrounding China with countries that want to manufacture stuff as well. And we do need to bring the stuff back, the strategic stuff for sure. But China is going to be in the soup if they don't knock it off.
Oh my God. He gets it exactly backwards. When Trump declared the trade war, he did it on all countries. The only ones he didn't, it was like Russia and North Korea and Cuba, and that was because we don't really trade with them anyway. But the idea, bro, we're isolating China like experts, bro. No, you're not. You pissed off everybody, and now everybody's running into the loving arms of China. That's what's happening. Canada and Mexico and the EU are looking to make deals with each other. South Korea and Japan and China, normally enemies, they're now making deals with each other. We are about to be cut out of future trade deals because we're so fucking unstable and he's so chaotic and he's so stupid. And he really thinks, brilliant chess move, sir. Masterful gambit, sir.
And so he promotes the party that got Trump into power. He's a blue no matter who. Hillary Clinton, Pied Piper strategy, got Trump into power, and that's the people he wants you to go for.
You really isolated China by pissing off the entire world and making them all hate America.
Every article of clothing I have on is probably made in China, Malaysia, or somewhere else. Okay, retailers, give me something made.
Yes, made in China, Malaysia, or somewhere else. That's exactly true. It's got to be made in one of those 3 places. It's either made in America, Canada, or somewhere else. If you throw in somewhere else, yes, it's made in one of those 3 places.
America. I'd gladly buy it, but it's not there. Go to Walmart. You ain't going to find jack shit pair of socks and underwears made in America.
Made in China.
Maybe. But, you know, shoes.
Are we really going to be making socks and stuff in America?
Nikes, Pumas, they're all overrated. They're probably all made over.
What is the point of making socks in America? If China wants to make the socks for the world, who cares? It's easier that way. If one person or one company, one place wants to make all of one thing and they do it well, why not let them do it? Why do we need every country to make their own socks? It's just silly.
Fees. How many American shoe companies have you seen go kaput? There used to be one 30 miles down the road, made great shoes. You don't hear from them.
Yeah, first of all, like I said, manufacturing is not coming back. It's not happening. The opposite is happening. Second of all, even if you did bring back low-level manufacturing like textiles and stuff like that, do you want to pay $200 for a shirt? How about $500 for a pair of sneakers? That's what it'd be looking like, right? That's what it would cost here. Like, to actually bring back American manufacturing, it needs to be high-tech manufacturing. Biden did that with the CHIPS Act, and Trump killed it, okay? They don't know anything. Their whole worldview is just coping and seething and mental jujitsu and gymnastics to pretend like this guy's some fucking hero and some amazing leader who has it all figured out.
We need a correction. We just need a correction. We're willing to take whatever it takes.
I love so now they're actively rooting for a market collapse. We need a correction, bro. We need a correction. Yeah, I'm sure that when the market goes down under Democrats, I'm sure you're saying, bro, we just needed a correction. I agree with the administration destroying the economy, bro.
Yeah. You know, that's the point. You know, it's exactly. It's been a rough 2 weeks, but guess what? We got 3.5 years to worry. And if it's like this in a year, I'll have another discussion maybe. But I don't.
Maybe. Oh my God. So this is the first admission that actually, yeah, it's been a bad 2 weeks. Everybody else is like, actually, it's been a great 2 weeks. I don't know what you're talking about. Everything's wonderful. I've never seen anything this good, bro. This is all going exactly to plan. Then you have one person admitting, yeah, it's been a rough 2 weeks. Then she goes, talk to me in a year, and maybe if it's still bad, I'll criticize. Doubt it. I doubt it. Look, I'll say it again. This is what Democrats need to understand.
Oh
the hardcore MAGA, you are never going to convince. It doesn't matter. You could literally, materially improve all of their lives. You can give them high-quality, free, universal health care, right? You could have them all join a union and their pay go...
But you won't. The Democrats won't do any of this stuff that he's going to talk about. But he's still going to tell you to vote for them. Why would you even say all this stuff? Because they're not going to do that. Yeah, that's like when Trump said he could do whatever he said he could do, but the Democrats would never clap for him. But he didn't do, I forget exactly what he said, but he didn't do that either. Like, why say stuff that you know they're not going to do? Oh, Jesus.
Goes up and their benefits go up and, you know, they get more paid time off. You could do anything for them and they'll still not like you. That's what, this is hardcore MAGA. This is the actual cult.
Goodness.
The real concern here is,
and he's blue MAGA.
Again, 26 to 33% are just gonzo. The real concern is, how do you get the remaining people, right? That's the question. The 70% that's actually gettable, that is somewhat connected to objective reality, that's where you have to put your focus. And the way you do that...
Or you go Green Party policies, which the Democratic Party will talk about, but they won't implement. So, I mean, if you really want to win and get things done, we need to actually go to the people that would do the thing.
Is to represent a counter-narrative and counter-philosophy that tells a different story from the MAGA story. Where it's, hey, fuck immigrants, they cause all our problems. Fuck trans people, they cause all our problems. We believe in Trump like he's an emperor, overlord, God king. That's their worldview. You have to make the argument for the reality, which is the problem are the billionaires. The problem are the multinational corporations.
But the Democrats said they're good billionaires.
The problem is the corruption and the legalized bribery. We're going to stop.
Oh my gosh, Joe Biden said he wanted to prostitute himself, and Kamala Harris said that with the swipe of her pen that she could put people in jail, and with the swipe of her pen she could take people out. That's admitted corruption. The Democrats even admit to the corruption. Oh, and then Nancy Pelosi, how long has she been in office? How much money does she have? Insider trading. Both parties are all the way corrupt. Oops.
Stop that. We're going to tax the wealthy. We're going to redistribute it to everybody else who busts their ass and doesn't get paid what they deserve.
Jeez.
Right?
But the Democrats aren't going to do that.
So that's how you handle it. But again, for these people, I mean, you know, shit. You could be the most convincing person in the world. You're not a...
See, if he weren't TFG, he would bring up the Green Party right now. He would say how the Democrats aren't doing this, that the Democrats will say stuff but won't do nothing, and that if we really want to handle the situation, if we really want to get our society on the right track, that we would all go to the Green Party, and he would help take his audience that way.
Fucking magician. You're not a magician. You can't perform miracles. You're not a deity. You're not a demigod, right? You can't do it. And so just this is a stark reminder to everybody that no matter how bad it gets, there will be anywhere from 26% to 33% that will never leave him. And the thing is, we're on track.
And see, there's a higher percent that won't leave the Democratic Party. That's crazy.
For it to be more like that 26 number, the bottom number, we're on track for that. So, but still, once you get to a certain level, it ain't going to go below it. Even George W. Bush, at his most unpopular, was at like 26% approval.
Everyone's like that.
Right?
It's going to have a certain amount.
It is what it is. There's some people who are just not all there. And remember, I got those numbers from the polls on Greenland. The pollsters asked, hey, should the U.S. take Greenland? The low number was 26%. The high number was 33%. That's why I feel like there's no... If you're saying to a pollster, yeah, I think the United States should militarily steal Greenland, I mean, I don't think there's any string of words I could put together that would make you be like, you know what, you're right. I disagree now with Trump and Trumpism. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So anyway, sorry, I just ruined...
Okay, from center-right liberal Deminem, Kyle Kulinski, to pretty far-right Vince Dao.
That over this?
No.
Nope.
No.
Nobody.
Okay, so Trump's own voters are turning on him. The MAGA base and loyal supporters are beginning to regret their own vote. How many times have you heard this very stupid and very false talking point from social media and the TV people as of late? It has been incessant. It's as if they're all a part of some coordinated propaganda campaign to astroturf something that doesn't exist into existence. I don't know, just saying. And how are they doing that? They're trying to sow division by arguing that the very people who voted for the candidate who said he was going to do deportations and tariffs, according to these people and their logic, apparently are now mad that that very candidate is doing the deportations and tariffs that he, of course, promised and said he was going to do. Now, that logic does not exactly add up, nor does any of this talking point, but nonetheless, I'm sure you know that has not stopped them recently from trying.
Level judge in Wisconsin. The FBI just arrested a Wisconsin judge accusing her of shielding an immigrant from federal officials. When you're doing stuff like that, it makes people say, you know, not enough people, mind you, but more people all the time say.
Okay, skipped over that a little bit. Now here's what we're going to get to.
Well, pollster Frank Luntz, a character you might be familiar with from the election cycle itself, tried to put this narrative to the test. And keep in mind, Frank Luntz, you go back to the 2024, he was not always necessarily the most pro-Trump guy. He kind of tries to straddle the fence, stay in the center. He's kind of a, I guess, GOP establishment type of character. Nonetheless, he tried to do this focus group of, you know, different Trump voters he sampled to actually figure out, hey, are the Trump people, are the MAGA base actually regretting their vote from November? And the result you're about to see, I love this. This is so funny. This is so good. Is absolutely hilarious because newsflash, when you don't put on former Democrat politicians and you actually talk to the Trump voters themselves, oh, wait a minute, they're supporting the things he's doing and said he was going to do. I know, we're so shocked to find this out. But we'll tell you about it. We'll react to it here today because it's truly glorious and great to watch. First, though, folks, do us a favor. If you enjoy the content, make sure you hit that like button down below and subscribe to the channel. If you are new, you subscribing is the best way to support our work and ensure that we can keep doing these videos. And again, okay,
like,
so
share, subscribe,
are Trump voters
comments.
regretting their votes? Well, I don't think it's best to ask former Democrat politicians or pundits and analysts in the media. The best thing to ask is, of course, the Trump voters themselves. So take a listen to what happened here.
I need to ask you an issue that no one's brought up and that has crashed your 401ks. Most of you. It's your tariffs.
So we've already heard them talk.
2020.
It's too good, guys. It's too good. Look at these patriots right here. You know, my 401k wasn't affected at all. There's a couple who said that gigantic stock market crash. You know, it's like, what was it? They said worse than 1987 or something. You have even people who say it wasn't affected at all. And then David here from Ohio is like, well, you know, by the way, as is true, yeah, our wallets were much more negatively affected by Biden getting elected to office than even this current slump. So, you know, that's hilarious to see. Frank Luntz is like, okay, I get it. You support all these different issues. Surely you won't support the tariffs. Surely you'll be in a big panic over the stock market, right? After all, you're Republican voters. Aren't you like the retirees and stuff? They're like, nope, that's exactly what needs to be done. Brilliant, brilliant.
2022 crashed by 25%. Yeah. For the whole year.
No one's upset over this?
No.
Nope.
No.
Nobody.
There's not a single 40-year period in the history of the stock market where the stock market hasn't appreciated at an average rate of about 7%. It's so, yeah, there's ups and downs and corrections, and sometimes people are foolish and they jump out, you know, buy high, sell low.
Right. But that's how the stock market does, right?
If people just get in and stay the course, they'll be just
stay the
fine.
course. Let it go.
Made great shoes. You don't hear from them. China.
We need a correction.
I just love this focus group so much. These are my favorite people ever. Okay, between you know, Sabrina, I think her name is, from New York. You know, she's got the passion. But you got John from Colorado, who is like the investor. He seems, you know, he's like maybe Wall Street, you know, vacationing in Aspen, something. He has money, okay, right? You can tell he understands the market and all that. He's explaining why, you know, the logical reasons why panicking over, you know, a short-term dip in the market.
But see, poor people can't afford the short-term dip. They need their money now. Their investments are for like future also. But when your investments go down, your 401k goes down. I mean, you guys are regular people. You understand what happens when the everything just goes down and money means less.
Markets for long-term gain is not really necessary. But you also got Joe from Missouri. Okay, just amazing people. Okay, great patriots. But we got a little more, so take a listen.
We just need a correction. We're willing to take whatever it takes.
Ride it out.
Yeah.
You know, that's the point.
You know, tell you what,
It's just too good. That might be one of my favorite videos ever. Okay, that's one of the greatest things I've ever seen. You got Frank Luntz, okay, kind of like neoliberal on this issue, I would argue, probably, whatever. You know, he's trying to push this focus group, nationwide focus group of Trump voters. He's like, come on, guys. Don't you know prices are going to go up? Don't you know the stock market is bad, blah, blah, blah. Not one single person on this entire focus group remotely gets cold feet. They're all like, yep, we support this. This is exactly what we voted for. Oh, newsflash. People voted for Trump are getting Trump policies, and they're happy that they're getting Trump policies. And
see, that's the difference in the right and the liberal center right, is that the far right, the Republicans, do what they say they're going to do. The liberals, they say they're going to do left-wing stuff, but really want right-wing stuff. So they lie, and they don't do anything that they say they're going to do. Or like Obama, they pass right-wing policies.
They trust him to a degree because they voted for him and support him. Oh, wow, you don't say. Big, gigantic surprise. Central conclusion here, guys. MAGA, specifically the MAGA base, is in no way turning on Trump. As a matter of fact, the top criticisms I hear from the MAGA base are the opposite, right? They say Trump's not pushing hard enough. Hey, the deportations are happening too slowly, you know, as one big example. You know, the Ukraine war should be over by now.
All right, so he's going to go into some other things, so we're going to go to breaking points next. All right, I don't know if I said counterpoints or breaking points, but this is breaking points. We got Crystal, Emily, and I forgot. Ryan Grimm. All right, and so we got two liberals and a right winger finishing us off here. So let's go.
A4 up on the screen. That just this shows the historical context of, you know, Trump is the most unpopular. He's actually beat his own record for being the most unpopular president at 100 days in modern history. Now, of course, you know, our politics has changed. Like these Harry Truman style, almost 90% approval ratings are just not really on the table at this point in time. But, you know, even if you look at Joe Biden at this point, he was in the 50s. You know, Barack Obama was extraordinarily popular in the first term. In the second term, he was, we think of that as being a time when there was a huge backlash against Obama. He's still at 50% there. You see, you know, George W. Bush not doing too well there in the second term, but obviously very popular in the first term. So in any case, even by modern, you know, equivalent standards, Trump is sort of uniquely unpopular. But you know, I want to transition to, we have this this great clip from Frank Luntz, one of his focus groups, where he was speaking to Trump supporters and asking them specifically about the tariffs and their concerns about the economy, if they have any concerns about the economy. And this has been the consistent source of Trump's power. You know, he's always been, compared to other presidents, relatively unpopular. But he has this group of voters who are ride or die and will never leave him no matter what. And that is certainly evident in.
Well, the Democratic Party has people like you ride or die, vote blue no matter who, liberals. So, I mean, you act like that's weird.
This clip that you'll see where every single one of these Trump voter focus group participants is like, it's fine if my 401k goes down. I'm not worried about it. I support what he's doing. I think this is a masterclass, etc. Let's go ahead and take a listen to that.
Masterclass. I need to ask you an issue that no one's brought up and that has crashed your 401ks.
Again, we've watched that.
Okay, retailers, give me something made in America.
So, Emily, Trump has definitely lost ground with independent voters. I mean, the numbers there are pretty extraordinary. And he has lost some high-profile supporters, or at least not necessarily lost them, but some people are starting to express concern. Joe Rogan has done so. Candace Owens just came out and said, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm siding with Harvard over Donald Trump. So you have a little bit of cracks at the kind of elite level. There's no sign of that in the polling among Republican-based voters who still very much trust Donald Trump and very much support whatever it is that he's going to do whenever it is he's going to do it.
Well, and this has always been Trump math, is that you have this base, and it's actually not even a majority of the Republican Party. It never really has been a majority of the Republican Party. It's about 30 to 40% of Republicans who are just, they will leave the Republican Party if Trump leaves the Republican Party. They are just Trump first, and then the party, then conservatism. Trump is their sort of politics. He is.
And see, they came in and took over the Republican Party. The left has been trying to do this to the Democratic Party for a long time. The Democratic Party is much stronger than the Republican Party when it comes to staying to the party line, being the party and not being for the people, not being changeable. At least, like I said earlier, the Republican Party can be infiltrated, mostly by right-wingers, obviously, but can be infiltrated and changed. The Democratic Party cannot be.
The party. And so...
Well, actually, the Democratic Party can be infiltrated and changed and pulled further to the right, which is not hard. You see them always going to the right. They brought in Liz Cheney and any kind of right-winger that wants to come that's unsatisfied with the Republican Party, which, I mean, it's fine to bring in people who are unsatisfied with where they're at, like I'm trying to bring Dems to the green, but if you're going further right and then you're still saying vote blue no matter who, then what is the point?
And so, yeah, that's the Trump math is always that group of people who will turn out to the polls.
This Trump math is the exact same as the Dem math, where they don't have to care. Like, Trump does his craziness and they like that. Like, the Dems have their Dem math, where they don't have to care. All they got to do is say some stuff, and then people blindly follow.
Trump first, and then the party, then conservatism. Trump is their sort of politics. He is the party. And so, yeah, that's the Trump math is always that group of people who will turn out to the polls. And then you have to put on top of that some group of people that is just plainly voting against the other side. They just think the other side is so awful that they will swallow all of the sort of stylistic issues that they see with Donald Trump or any of the liabilities that they see with Donald Trump and say, all right, he's less bad. And that's not exactly what happened with Barack Obama. It's not exactly what happened with George W. Bush. You had a big group of people that were voting of independents who said, I'm actually voting for this person, or swing voters who said, I'm actually voting for this person, not just against the other person. And that's how Trump has always been able to get through. It doesn't translate for Republicans after Trump. And that is what they have to reckon with when they see a Joe Rogan as a canary in the coal mine, is that this guy gravitated towards Donald Trump. As soon as Donald Trump starts to screw things up, that doesn't mean he's going to ever be around the Republican Party again. So how do you sort of be able to weather the storms of Donald Trump and come out? Like, does that mean you need to start speaking out against what's happening in the universities? And nobody's going to do that. But these are the thoughts that are going to start bubbling up in their heads in the next 100 days for sure.
And if we could put up A8 that shows how deep in the minority these kind of hardcore Trump supporters are, the 72% of people expect a recession, and the vast majority of them believe that Trump is doing this. Probably a lot of the Trump supporters believe there's going to be a recession and know that Trump is doing it too. That's part of the correction that, like the lady said in that little thing they went over. That he's driving us into recession. That this is not some external shock to the economy. 34% approve of Trump's tariffs. In this country that is so divided by tribe, by party, it's very hard to get anything under like 45. Like, if your side supports it, then at least 45% of the country is going to end up supporting it, even if it's the most idiotic thing ever, until it starts to have material bite. And I think that's the only thing that can kind of push through the partisan divide here. So you kind of wind up with Trump in this trap where, if he wants validation, which, as we know, that is the thing that he lives on throughout the day, throughout his life, he can find that validation in that focus group, and from people like Frank Luntz was talking to there, who are like, yeah, this is all great. There's a plan. Trust the plan. Just don't look. Trust the process. It's all going to be fine. So Trump can find that. So what could shake him out of this? Is it? And it sounds like the
bond market.
The bond market, and also
Wall Street.
The Target, Walmart, and Home Depot CEOs coming to tell him the shelves are going to be empty, shook him out of it, and he's like, okay, fine, we're not doing 145%. And then everybody sighs, and they're like, okay, somebody got through to Trump. This is all going to be okay. And then he's like, it's only going to be 50 to 60%. And it's like, bro, that's the same. Like, once you're over like 10-ish%, like, you're shutting down global shipping. which is maybe fine if you have some plan B for what you're going to do when global shipping shuts down.
You know,
But
they're trying to get
moving
rid
it
of
from
plan B,
145 to 60, it's like, oh, he didn't really get it. So he sort of absorbed it when he heard it from those CEOs. Now the shelves are actually potentially going to be empty.
Mm-hmm.
So will that resonate at all?
I mean, it depends, because if you've purged internal critics and people are walking on eggshells to say, hey, sir, your own supporters, your working class supporters who paid money to get to another state to go to a Trump rally, like these are the types of people right now who are really unhappy. First of all, does anyone in the circle have the sort of courage to say that, to make that point without being blacklisted? I don't know. It seems like the people who did in that case were people outside of Trump's circle that were able to get through to Scott Bessent, and then Scott Bessent was able to take the message to Donald Trump, or that he heard directly from these guys on Wall Street. I mean, Trump is here, if this is hopeful, Trump is a savvy politician to the extent that he knows people's material conditions are a big driver of their politics. And, you know, the whole thing we haven't talked about here, that's maybe the biggest elephant in the room, is the fact that this guy might want to run for a third term.
Mm-hmm.
And I say run, I don't know what that means. Like,
They're selling a Trump 2028 hat over there now.
Yeah, as Steve Bannon has said, I don't know who Scott Bannon is. It's a combination of Steve Bannon and Scott Bessent that is an interesting hybrid in the like MAGA zoo. But if you want to imagine that, but the Steve Bannon has said there could be different avenues for that, and I just think that is a really important elephant in the room right now that changes everything we just talked about in the way that they see this internally too.
Yeah, and previously the right would have been, oh, you libs are Trump derangements. And of course, he's just joking about that. No one's saying that shit this time. No one is saying that this time. They're like, oh, I guess he wants to run again. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, we can't tell what's a joke.
Well, a lot of them want to run again. But I'm gonna cut this here. You can tell they're all three kind of liberals. Emily doesn't seem quite as far right when she's talking about Trump. She seems kind of in agreement with the liberals and whatnot. So, I mean, you see how, like, when you look across the spectrum, you can see how there's not a big difference in liberals and normal right people. Like this chick, like there's a difference in Vince Dao, right? Like he's a hardcore far right person who's MAGA style, so he's gonna talk a little bit different. And yeah, I just find it funny that all these liberals act like the Democrats are gonna do something, and they want to act like Trump and the Republicans are so bad, yet they do the same stuff. We have the same recessions no matter who's in. Like the Democrats normally do kind of pull us up a little bit out of recessions, but then they do like crime bills, and they do the health care bill, and they do all kinds of things that hurt us otherwise. Like they'll break the recession, but then take our money in other ways. So if we want to break this cycle, we got to do like Einstein and not keep repeating the same thing over and over, thinking we're going to get a different result.